This girl was born into a concrete jungle of high rises and work sites with cranes screaming, bulldozers rumbling, cars creeping like snails on streets with the great equalizer that is rush hour traffic. Tragic as panic would rise in a haze of black from exhaust pipes and exhausted jibes of the driver before us, who is equally powerless in this gridlock. When you are a child, these traffic jams are not excuses for being late. They are excuses to investigate the world as it slows down beyond the rose-tinted glasses we often hide behind. And I am on my way back from elementary school in the passenger seat, looking out into familiar streets, watching wide-eyed as hands hang out of car windows, flicking flickering cigarettes as the smoke joins the suffocating fog that blocks the stars, as the spaces between cars fill with bodies, selling an assortment of goods to make a living. Then, the sweet smell of sampaguita flowers wafts in through the AC, and looking out, my eyes meet with another pair, cupped with one hand while the other holds the white garlands up in the air. A girl is staring back at me, past my reflection, eyes begging for not a peso, but a connection. And I deny her that as I choose to look away, overcome with discomfort as the traffic light turns green. And I still remember how I could not grasp what I had seen. It did not make sense to see this girl in darkened streets, working to get paid in cash and not grades, wading through puddles that never drained, selling stringed sampaguita flowers to strangers instead of doing homework before dinner. And it did not make sense until very recently that in the simple act of turning my head, I turned my back on that girl who was deprived not only of an education, but of the attention she deserved as another human on this earth, of the agency to speak against the pollution that filled her lungs, words left to rot in her mouth like the plastic bags that choked the street gutters, of the power of visibility against the patriarchy that told her what she wanted to be when she grew up. Why, I thought, did I not see this sooner? I allowed the world to pass me by in a blur, unwilling to adjust the radio to get a better signal, to see and hear more clearly the lines that divide society, the norms that favor men over women, in the same way government policies favor development over the environment. I could not accept that this scene from my childhood was the same story every day, cast with different actors in different settings, with different endings, blending them into background noise. This is a choice. See, my mother named me Gaea after this earth. And when I was little, I chose to believe that I could control the rain and keep the wash of pain at bay, of storms that turned my concrete jungle into a sea, of tears as mothers cradled their babies and fathers fought to keep their shanties of metal from washing away. But growing up has made me cynical. And instead of the cape that I used to tie around my neck, I chose to cling to my seatbelt, asking, "Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet?" Without questioning where we were going, this seatbelt is clicked shut by the euphemisms that soften the blow of casualties that casually flash across our Twitter and Facebook feeds and in between our favorite shows. like leaves blowing across a windshield. A seatbelt we only take off in the safety of our classrooms and offices, in which we discuss the catastrophe out there, in which we discuss how unfortunate it is that women and young girls are 14 times more likely to die from an ecological disaster. Without seeing the individual life beneath that number, without fully understanding why. Why care? Why spend hours flipping through the pages of a book, searching every nook of the internet to understand how patriarchal systems confine women to traditional roles of gatherer or homemaker, to those most knowledgeable of Mother Nature's path, but also those most unable to escape her wrath, vulnerable, not because they cannot drive, but because we never gave them the chance to take the wheel? Why? It is so easy to go on auto drive, to say, I care, to take a road map and follow the lines that lead me from A to B, from now to the brighter future where we believe we're heading. But to grapple with the complexity of the journey, of unexpected roadblocks, of the temptation to take shortcuts, of unexplored routes. This is not easy. At the intersection of gender rights and environmental protection, there is a gridlock. The stoplights are not always functional, and individuals are behind schedule. There is no traffic enforcer, and drivers look around, unsure of who should go first and where. Well, this is where I have chosen to go, a space that needs direction, a space where I am reminded that I am but a single vehicle amidst the congestion, a space where I am not incapable, but in motion. This gridlock is not an excuse for being late. It is an excuse to investigate the ways in which our daily decisions, the U-turns we take, and the speed bumps we face fit into the bigger picture of this moment. Understanding way before the traffic light turns green when it's time to go. But how do we know? How do we look at this generation's dilemmas with fresh eyes, like that of a child looking out a window for the first time? How do we find ourselves a part of and not apart from the problems we wish to scrutinize? Sustainable development is my generation's highway that drives away from the cyclone of cynicism that threatens to stall the change we are driving. But the beautiful thing about this road we are traveling is that everybody is coming from different places at different paces with different cases. What is important is that you have the courage to ask, what matters to you and why? To wrestle with and embrace the bustling intersections, to acknowledge and verbalize the difficult questions, difficult not only because they demand dedication, but because they are personal, and you will feel as vulnerable as you did the first time you took the wheel. But the courage to ask comes before the courage to act. So, what drives you? Who fuels you? Well, it may just be a little girl selling flower garlands on the street. Whoever it is, they're knocking now. Will you roll down the window?